Nelson Mandela. You know him, right? Freedom fighter turned national hero turned president of South Africa. It is a massive understatement to say he had an interesting life story. And he well deserves a day dedicated to him, which is what July the 18th is. Nelson Mandela was born on the 18th of July 1918 into a South Africa only recently independent from the British Empire and still controlled by the minority white population, a situation which would get even worse in 1948 when they introduced apartheid. If you don't know what apartheid was, it was the disgraceful segregation of the South African population by race. Separate schools, separate lives. There were areas which were no-go areas for black people, and remember, black people were the majority in the country. And the majority of the country could not go in a lot of the spaces in their own country. There were different rules, there were different rights for people. Black people couldn't vote, for instance. Now, Mandela spent his adult life fighting against apartheid, and he ended up in prison for 28 years because of this fight. A year after being released from prison in 1990, he successfully negotiated the end of apartheid. He was a national hero, and 3 years later he got elected as the first president of South Africa. If you want to know more than that very brief and very inadequate summary of the situation, I highly recommend this book. It's called The Walk to Freedom. It's his autobiography, him telling his own story, and it is amazing. It's quite thick. I mean, it's chunky, but it's so engaging. I read it in 1 week on a holiday. Mandela died in 2013, so that's about 4 years ago at the time of recording this video. But this day lives on to commemorate him and his message. One of his key policies when he got into office was that there should be no revenge against the white minority of the country that had oppressed him and black people throughout the last 50 previous years. He had a brilliant phrase to use for his country, that it was a rainbow nation, and he wanted everybody to get along, and so he dedicated the rest of his life to improving the lives of all South Africans. It was his life mission after that. And that's how you're meant to celebrate Nelson Mandela Day, to improve the lives of people around you. Get out on this day, find injustices, and do what you can to alleviate them. It's a fairly simple idea, right? Recently, I've been getting a little bit more involved in local politics because I want to fight for the sort of policies, the progressive policies that will improve people's lives. So I've been doing that over, gradually, more and more over the last year. And today I looked into volunteering at my local food bank as a possibility of another way I can help improve people's lives. It's a disgrace that we're in a situation where food banks are so needed and there are so many of them, but that is a rant for another day. The point is, it can be something big, it can be something small. Just be on the lookout today of things you can do to help improve lives of people. It's what Mandela would want. Happy Mandela Day.